delicate to be worried about politics, and here she is in this powerful speech, showing the hypocrisy of that idea, both as a slave and as a woman. It's an incredibly powerful speech and one of my favorites. Women during this time period are really particularly emphasized on tests and things like that. And something that I find really interesting is this idea of the cult of domesticity. I just spoke to it a little bit. The cult of domesticity is this idea that women should be at home, raising children, taking care of children. Sometimes this is referred to as Republican motherhood, that there's nothing more important that a woman can do than stay home with the children, because as the primary caregiver, she's raising citizens that will then become president and politicians and capitalists. Okay, the last slide got cut off a little bit. I was just about done anyway. So, 1840s reform movements, Second Great Awakening, this idealized view of the world, especially through these reform movements, we can make the world a better place, a perfect place. You see the merging of what's called utopian communities. A large number of people go off and live together in many different ways, with varying results. And these are some. There's many of them. I just picked a handful just to give you an idea. More than anything, these utopian communities are important because they represent the idealism of the time period. That, think about it. Think of how positive you are if you believe that you can go live somewhere and form a utopian community. It's the same attitude that motivated the Second Great Awakening. It's the same attitude that motivated these reform movements. So pretty briefly, I'm just going to talk about a few of them. Brook Farm was a reform movement that was founded by transcendentalist philosophers who wanted to create an environment in which artists and writers and philosophers could live together in perfect harmony, and we're going to talk more about transcendentalists later. Then you have some groups that there's still shadows of them today, and you may have heard of Shaker Furniture, and you may have heard of Oneida Silverware, but these two groups started out as 1840 utopian communities, both religious in nature. The Shakers were founded by this woman, Mother Ann Lake, and the Shakers were very strict in terms of how women and men interacted. Women and men were completely separate. They believed in celibacy. That is going to make it difficult for the Shakers to continue as a group because there's no new members coming in by birth anyway. But they were very religiously committed, and they even got their name. This is where this picture came from. They even got their name that during their prayers, that it was very common for someone just to kind of fall down and start shaking, allegedly filled with the Holy Spirit. I just find this connection interesting, and like I said today, these Shakers created furniture, a style of furniture that is still around today, and Shaker furniture is highly valued for its quality. The Oneida community, again, New York, we see a lot of this stuff is in New York. The Oneida community is very different than the Shaker community because their utopian society consisted of open marriages, shared partners, was very progressive for any time period, really, let alone the 1840s. Founded by John Noyes, the Oneida utopian community is well known for its silver, which is still around today. So just a little bit about utopian communities there. Okay, last slide. Transcendentalists. Transcendentalists get their name because they wanted to transcend petty shallowness and materialism and try to find out what really matters in life. Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau are the two most famous transcendentalists. Actually good friends. Henry David Thoreau wrote on civil disobedience, in which he said that unjust laws shouldn't be followed. It's one of my favorite stories. Henry David Thoreau believed that the Mexican-American War was unjust and therefore refused to pay his taxes. He didn't believe that he should support an unjust war. He goes to jail for it. His friend Ralph Waldo Emerson comes to save him. And even though these are two iconic people, they're still just friends. And just like anyone who would go see their friend in jail for getting locked up for a silly reason, Ralph Waldo Emerson says to Henry David Thoreau, "What are you doing in there?" As if to say, like, "What are you doing in there, dummy?" Henry David Thoreau looks back and says, "What are you doing out there?" Just a great, zinger that also explains the whole idea of civil disobedience, that you have to stand up for what you believe in. Nature, I said before, transcendentalists wanted to transcend petty, shallow and materialism. What really matters? Nature, interaction with people, and we see transcendentalist philosophy illustrated through an artistic movement called the Hudson River School. As the name would imply, it's paintings of the Hudson River primarily, but it also speaks to what transcendentalists thought was really important, nature, quality of life, things of that nature. No pun intended. Okay, that's it. I hope you guys like this virtual classroom. Let's see how it goes. Like I said, if you don't, we're not going to do this all year long. We'll just see how it goes with this unit.
Okay, everybody. So sorry about all of the trouble that we had with this voice thread. So this is designed to be like a little fix to that. I'm posting it to YouTube because so many people had trouble accessing the voice thread. I realized that the sound quality isn't exactly perfect, but what are we going to do? So hopefully this is a bit of a fix for the problem that so many people were having. And have a great night, and we'll see you in class.